My role is to have a look at how we support young people who have disabilities and coming through from support as children to support as adults. It can be a really difficult time for people and for their families because there are a lot of changes that go on. The legislation changes, people's entitlements change, but also they're thinking about how their lives are going to be as adults and their education, work opportunities, where they want to live, relationships are changing, and you've got adolescence going on alongside all of that. So our approach has been to work through co-production with young people and families and frontline staff. Well, we've called it a working together group because we try not to use words which sound a bit jargony. And it is as simple as working together and on an equal footing. So we've really tried to get together, make a relaxed environment in which everybody can bring their own expertise and their own thoughts, and those will be valued and listened to.
I was involved as a transition social worker. It's part of what I do every day. I've had a lot of feedback over families over the years of feeling that transition processes in Oxfordshire aren't working in the best possible way at the moment, and so it was really valuable for me to be involved in an opportunity where I can feed that back to professionals and to other families and carers and look at ways that we can address those difficulties.
Initially I was a bit sceptical of there might just be another talking shop. But then as things went on, and then being part of the actual presentation to the councillors, and the feedback we've had since, has made me think again about my own scepticism.
A penguin grows and it's had a rough life and it feels like it's been ignored, neglected, and then it ends up neglecting itself. Here's something that will be, this is something that's a whole lot more exciting. The same penguin, but he's been listened to and taken seriously. He or she has got much more support than the other one, and they're living the life.
I think that it's been really valuable and important to have service user feedback on what's happening. They are the people that are affected by it, and I think sometimes that can be missed when it's just professionals making those decisions that, although they might do that on a day-to-day basis like I do, they don't necessarily know how it feels and they can't necessarily understand, and it's not necessarily going to have a long-term impact on them. What we have tried to do, I think, in the past when big changes have been looked at in systems, sometimes one person suggests that and one person thinks it's a good idea, but actually it's not necessarily representative. So what we've tried to do really hard in this project is to kind of make sure that if somebody expresses a view, kind of getting figures on how many people agree with that, and kind of going over that with wider people. So if they're not necessarily at the meeting, going that with email and seeing what people feel, and so that we can make sure that the proposals that we're suggesting are representative, and that one shoe isn't always going to fit all people, but actually the more people that we can make it fit, the better.
We've met about 7 times, I think, over the course of the year, and we've also done a couple of visits to other local authorities to see what they've been doing. But we've tried to widen the conversation as well by having email input from people and going back into our own networks to bring in other people's voices and thoughts, so that it's not too narrow and too small a group who are actually sharing and reinforcing their own ideas all the time.
The main proposals that have come out of the project are creating a 16 to 25 team. I think that's certainly based on feedback, particularly from families, that I think finding 18-year-old a cut-off date is a bit of a cliff edge. And actually, in my experience, that's not when the significant changes occur, that's when their birthday is. And the biggest changes are when they turn 19 and they finish school. And enabling the new, if the proposals are to go ahead, that will alleviate that and mean that people have that support and that continuity at those really important times with familiar named workers who know them. And I think that's a much better system than what we're using in Oxfordshire at the moment.
For all involved, has been empowering in realising that each person's input has been valued and listened to, and as a shared process, you fire off each other and you all become a part of it, rather than just one or two people being speaking the loudest and everyone else sort of keeping their heads down.
We learnt together, and we really have found a way of bringing together all the resources that the different members of the group have got in a way which I think delivers a much better outcome than if we'd sat in a darkened room trying to do it on our own.